Jayadratha, another son of Maharaj Vriddhakshetra. He was the king of Sindhu Desh, modern Sindh, Pakistan. His wife's name was Dushala. He was also present in the Swamvar ceremony of Draupadi, and he desired very strongly to have her hand, but he failed in the competition. But since then, he always sought the opportunity to get in touch with Draupadi. When he was going to marry in the Shalya Desh on the way to Kamevan, he happened to see Draupadi again and was too much attracted to her. The Pandavas and Draupadi were then in exile after losing their empire in gambling. And Jadra thought it wise to send news to Draupadi in an illicit manner through Koti Shashya, one of his associates. Draupadi at once refused vehemently the proposal of Jayadratha, but being so much attracted by the beauty of Draupadi, he tried again and again. Every time he was refused by Draupadi. He tried to take her away forcibly on the chariot, and at first Draupadi gave him a good dashing, and he fell like a cut root tree. But he was not discouraged, and he was able to force Draupadi to sit on the chariot. This incident was seen by Dhaumya Muni, and he strongly protested the action of Jayadratha. He also followed the chariot, and through Dhatriyaka, the matter was brought to the notice of Maharaj Yudhishthir. The Pandavas then attacked the soldiers of Jayadratha and killed them all. And at last Bhima caught hold of Jayadratha and beat him up severely, almost dead. Then all but 5 hairs were cut off his head, and he was taken to all the kings and introduced as the slave of Maharaj Yudhishthir. So this was the way. Actually, Jayadratha was brought back, uh, caught up and brought back to Maharaj Yudhishthir. And Draupadi Maharani then forgave Jayadratha. She said, don't kill him. Bhima was ready to kill him. Arjun was ready to kill him also. But Draupadi said, don't kill him because that his wife, Jayadratha's wife, Dushala, was sister of Duryodhana. So she was very forgiving. So then Bhima then shaved off his head and left 5 hairs just to introduce him as a slave of Maharaj Yudhishthira. He was forced to admit himself to be the slave of Maharaj Yudhishthira before all the princely order. And in the same condition, he was brought before Maharaj Yudhishthira. Maharaj Yudhishthira was kind enough to order him released. And when he admitted to being a tributary prince under Maharaj Yudhishthira, Queen Draupadi also desired his release. After this incident, he was allowed to return to his country. Being so insulted, he went to Gangotri in the Himalayas and undertook a severe type of penance to please Lord Shiva. I mean, he should have gone to Gangotri before doing all these things, to do some penance, to do some tapasya, but he went afterwards, after he was completely humiliated. He asked his benediction. So he pleased Lord Shiva and he asked his benediction to defeat all the Pandavas, at least one at a time. Then the battle of Kurukshetra began. And he took sides with Duryodhan. Obviously, he was going to take side with Duryodhan because he was against the Pandavas. In the first day's fight, he was engaged with Maharaj Drupad, then with Virat, and then with Abhimanyu. While Abhimanyu was being killed, mercilessly surrounded by 7 great generals, the Pandavas came to his help, but Jayadratha, by the mercy of Lord Shiva, repulsed him with great ability. At this, Arjun took a vow to kill him, and on hearing this, Jayadratha wanted to leave the war field and asked permission from the Kauravas for his cowardly action. But he was not allowed to do so. So Arjun had taken a vow because actually what had happened when Abhimanyu was killed, that day Dronacharya made this Chakravyuh. And Arjun was led to the other side of the war by this Trigad Naresh, the brother of Jayadratha. So Abhimanyu said, actually, I know how to get inside Chakravyuh because only Arjun knew and Abhimanyu knew. So Yudhishthir, Bhim, Nakul, and Sahadev, they said, okay, you get inside the Chakravyuh and we'll break the Chakravyuh and come out. Abhimanyu said, actually, I just know how to get inside. I don't know how to get out of the Chakravyuh. But Bhima said, don't worry. Once you break open the Chakravyuh, I'll make sure it doesn't close up again. So Abhimanyu went inside the Chakravyuh, but Jayadratha that day he had the benediction of Lord Shiva, so he stopped Bhima, Yudhishthir, Nakul, and Sahadev. He stopped them from entering Chakravyuh. So Abhimanyu entered Chakravyuh, and in the Chakravyuh he was killed by, like Prabhupada said, 7 great generals. They mercilessly killed him. Who was there? Dronacharya, Karn, Duryodhan, Dushasan, Shakuni, I don't know if Kripacharya was there or not, and Ashwatthama. So they all were there. And the rule was 1-on-1 fighting, not 7-on-1 fighting. But they got together and all of them got together and killed Abhimanyu. And when Abhimanyu was killed, then actually Krishna knew this is going to happen. Krishna let it happen. And Abhimanyu was his own nephew, son of Subhadra. But he let it happen. So then Arjun came back in the evening after killing the other warrior. And when he found out these 7 generals together killed his son, then he was really angry and he vowed to kill Jayadratha. And the vow he took was, either I'll kill Jayadratha by the sunset tomorrow, or I will commit suicide myself. Now, Krishna being Krishna, he is a protector of his devotees. He had to do something. And Jayadratha, the next day, he was completely protected by Dronacharya and Duryodhan and Karn and everybody. They completely protect. They knew if Jayadratha is not killed, then Arjun will commit suicide. So next day, war started and they all protected Jayadratha. Arjun could not even get to Jayadratha. So towards the end of the day, it was sunset. Arjun said, okay, I have to commit suicide now. So Jayadratha came out openly because Arjun was going to commit suicide. But then Krishna, he had actually made the sun to set by sending his Sudarshan Chakra. So Krishna removed Sudarshan Chakra from the sun and sun was still shining. So Krishna then told Arjun, now you kill Jayadratha. But Jayadratha had a boon. Prabhupada is mentioning that. Let's see what boon he had. So at this, Arjun took a vow to kill him. And on hearing this, Jayadratha wanted to leave the warfield and ask permission from the Kauravas for his cowardly action. But he was not allowed to do so. On the contrary, he was obliged to fight with Arjun. And while the fight was going on, Lord Krishna reminded Arjun that the benediction of Shiva upon Jayadratha was that whoever would cause his head to fall on the ground would die at once. He therefore advised Arjun to throw the head of Jayadratha directly onto the lap of his father, who was engaged in penances at the Samant Panchak pilgrimage. So Arjun shot the arrow at Jayadratha in such a way that he cut off the head of Jayadratha. And the arrow took the head of Jayadratha to his father's lap, who was doing tapasya in Samant Panchak. This was actually done by Arjun. Jayadratha's father was doing tapasya. So when all of a sudden he thought something has come in his lap. So he was surprised and the head of Jayadratha fell on the ground from his lap. So both father and son died. Jayadratha's father was surprised to see the severed head on his lap and he at once threw it on the ground. The father immediately died, his forehead being cracked in 7 pieces. See how Krishna protects his devotees. what all he has to do to protect his devotees. It's amazing. Text 17. Sautyavrata kumati natmada ishvaro me yat pad padmam bhavai bhajanti bhavya mam shrant vaha marayo rathino bhuvishtam na praharan yadanubhav nirastu chittaha. It was by his mercy only that my enemies neglected to kill me when I descended from my chariot to get water from my thirsty horses. And it was due to my lack of esteem for my Lord that I dared engage him as a chariot driver, for he is worshipped and offered services by the best men to attain salvation. The Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, is the object of worship both by impersonalists and by the devotees of the Lord. The impersonalist worship his glowing effulgence emanating from his transcendental body of eternal form, bliss, and knowledge, and the devotees worship him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are below, even the impersonalists, consider him to be one of the great historical personalities. The Lord, however, descends to attract all by his specific transcendental pastimes, and thus he plays the part of the most perfect master, friend, son, and lover. His transcendental relationship with Arjun was in friendship, and the Lord therefore played the part perfectly. So, who can be more perfect than Krishna? He is a perfect father, he is a perfect friend, he was a perfect master, he is a perfect son, perfect lover. He is supreme, he is perfect. So he played the part perfectly as a friend for Arjun. While playing in such a perfect transcendental relation, the devotee forgets, by the internal potency of the Lord, that his friend or son is a supreme personality of Godhead, although sometimes the devotee is bewildered by the acts of the Lord. After the departure of the Lord, Arjun was conscious of his great friend, but there was no mistake on the part of Arjun, nor any ill estimation of the Lord. Intelligent men are attracted by the transcendental acting of the Lord with a pure, unalloyed devotee like Arjun. In the warfield, scarcity of water is a well known fact. Water is very rare there, and both the animals and men working strenuously on the warfield constantly require water to quench their thirst. Especially wounded soldiers and generals feel very thirsty at the time of death. And it sometimes so happens that simply for want of water one has to die unavoidably. But such scarcity of water was solved in the battle of Kurukshetra by means of boring the ground. By God's grace, water can be easily obtained from any place if there is a facility for boring the ground. The modern system works on the same principle of boring the ground, but modern engineers are still unable to dig immediately wherever necessary. It appears, however, from the history as far back as the days of the Pandavas, that big generals like Arjun could at once supply water even to the horses, and what to speak of men, by drawing water from underneath the hard ground simply by penetrating the stratum with a sharp arrow, a method still unknown to the modern scientists. So Arjun, even Karn did that. Arjun would just shoot an arrow in the earth, and water would come out like a spring. So this technique is still unknown to modern scientists. They have to really use all the gadgets, all the equipments to figure out how deep the water is, if the water is there, how deep the water is there, and then they had to put all the boring wells to get the water out of that place. But Arjun, by mercy of Krishna, he could do that just by shooting an arrow in the ground. नरमाणि उदार रुचिर स्मित शोभितानि हे पार्थ हे अर्जुन सखे कुरु नंदनेति संजल पितानि नरदेव हृदि स्पृशानि स्मर्तुर लुठन्ति हृदय मम माधवस्य. O king, his jokings and frank talks were pleasing and beautifully decorated with smiles. He addressed unto me as, O son of Pritha, O friend, O son of the Kuru dynasty, and all such hearings are now remembered by me, and thus I am overwhelmed. Shayasannatan vikathan bhojanadesh vakyadvayasya ritvaniti vipralabdaha Sakhyu sakhe pitri vattanayasya sarvam sehe mahan mahitya kumate ragham me. Generally, both of us used to live together and sleep, sit and loiter together. And at the time of advertising oneself for acts of chivalry, sometimes if there were any irregularity, I used to reproach him by saying, My friend, you're very truthful. Means it was kind of funny gesture between two. Even in those hours when his value was minimized, he, being the Supreme Soul, used to tolerate all those utterings of mine, excusing me exactly like a true friend excuses his true friend, or a father excuses his son. Since the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna is all perfect, his transcendental pastimes with his devotees never lack anything in any respect, either as a friend, son, or lover. The Lord relishes the reproaches of friends, parents, of fiancés more than the Vedic hymns offered to him by great learned scholars and religionists in an official fashion. So, this is what Krishna loves to do. So, he relishes the reproaches. I mean, sometimes his friends, like here Arjun say, I used to reproach him by saying, My friend, you're very truthful. I mean, sometimes if I see any irregularity in his dealings. But Krishna never minded. Soham nripendra rahita purushotamena sakhya priyan surida hridena shunya advani urukram parigriham mangan rakshan gopar sadbhir bale vinirjito asmi. O Emperor, now I am separated from my friend and dearmost well-wisher, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore my heart appears to be void of everything. In his absence, I have been defeated by a number of infidel, cowherd men while I was guarding the bodies of all the wives of Krishna. So this is a secret. Actually, what had happened, Arjun, because he had gone to Dwarka, and then he found out Dwarka, Krishna had left, Balramji, all the Yadav army, everybody died, except the queens of Krishna. So out of 16,108 queens of Krishna in Dwarka, 8 major queens, they left their bodies. Now the left were 16,100 queens who Krishna had protected from Bhomasura or Narkasura's captivity. Now, prior to this, when Krishna had come to Kurukshetra to take bath during the solar eclipse, and the gopis also went from Vrindavan, Kauravas and Pandavas came from Hastinapur. So when these 16,100 queens of Krishna, they saw the gopis of Braj and their mood of love towards Krishna, the conjugal mood towards Krishna. So they all developed a desire to have that Vraj mood of gopis with Krishna. They did not want the Dwarka mood. They did not want to have Krishna as a king. They wanted to. Then they developed this mood of having Krishna as a Gwal Bal, Gopsaka. So now when Arjun went to Dwarka and he thought, okay, now these ladies, they will be unprotected, let me take them back to Hastinapur. So Arjuna was bringing all these queens, 16,100 queens of Krishna, to Hastinapur. And here it is said, on the way, he was defeated by a number of infidel cowherd men. On the way, when he was bringing these cowherd men, they attacked Arjun. And Arjun, even with his Gandhi bow, he could not protect the queens. So these cowherd men, and they were very simple people, they took away all the queens. They basically kidnapped the queens from Arjuna's protection. And Arjuna, this is one of the reasons. Arjuna was very dejected. How in the world this could happen? Few cowherd men, I could not even take care of them. And actually, what had happened? Why Arjun could not take care? Well, first of all, Krishna wasn't with him. That's one of the reasons. But Krishna had expanded himself and came himself as those cowherd men to fulfill the desire of these queens to be with Krishna in the mood of gopis. So Krishna kidnapped them without letting Arjun know what happened, and he took them to Braj. So this was because Krishna wanted to do that. So let's read the purport. The important point in this verse is how it was possible that Arjun could be defeated by a gang of ignoble cowherd men, and how such mundane cowherd men could touch the bodies of the wives of Lord Krishna, who were under the protection of Arjun. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has justified the contradiction by research in the Vishnu Puran and Brahma Puran. In these Puranas, it is said that once the fair denizens of heaven pleased Ashtavakra Muni by their service and were blessed by the Muni to have the Supreme Lord as a husband. Ashtavakra Muni was curved in 8 joints of his body, and thus he used to move in a peculiar curved manner. The daughters of the demigods could not check their laughter upon seeing the movements of the Muni, and the Muni, being angry at them, cursed them that they would be kidnapped by rogues even if they would get the Lord as a husband. So this is the previous birth story of all these princes. They were from heaven, but they pleased Ashtavakra Muni, and they made him angry by laughing at his the way he used to walk. He is Ashtavakra. He was bent at 8 places. So his body was bent at 8 places. But he was very self-realized soul. So these girls, they got both the benediction and the curse. Later on, the girls again satisfied the Muni by their prayers, and the Muni blessed them that they would regain their husband even after being robbed by the rogues. So, in order to keep the words of the great Muni, the Lord himself kidnapped his wives from the protection of Arjun. Otherwise, they would have at once vanished from the scene as soon as they were being touched by the rogues. Besides that, some of the gopis who prayed to become wives of the Lord returned to their respective positions after the desire was fulfilled. After the departure of Lord Krishna, he wanted all his entourage back to Godhead, and they were called back under different conditions only. So it was all orchestrated by Krishna. Tadve dhanust ishvah sarastho hayaste soham rathi niriptayo yat anamanti sarvam kshanenta tadbhut sad ishariktam bhasman hutam kuh karad dham ivoptum ushyam. I have the very same Gandhi bow, the same arrows, the same chariot drawn by the same horses, and I use them as the same Arjun to whom all the kings offered their due respects. But in the absence of Lord Krishna, all of them, at a moment's notice, have become null and void. It's exactly like offering clarified butter on the ashes, accumulating money with a magic wand, or sowing seeds on a barren land. So Prabhupada says, as we have discussed more than once, one should not be puffed up by borrowed plumes. or like modern day, the slang goes, one should not be proud of a borrowed dollar. I mean, we have a little bit money, but we get very proud of it. We are without understanding. Actually, money belongs to Krishna. We have somehow or other borrowed it or stolen it actually. All energies and powers are derived from the Supreme Source, Lord Krishna, and they act as long as He desires and cease to function as soon as He withdraws. All electrical energies are received from the powerhouse, and as soon as the powerhouse stops supplying energy, the bulbs are of no use. In a moment's time, such energies can be generated or withdrawn by the supreme will of the Lord. Material civilization without the blessing of the Lord is child's play only. As long as the parents allow the child to play, it is all right. As soon as the parents withdraw, the child has to stop. Human civilization and all activities thereof must be dovetailed with the supreme blessing of the Lord. And without this blessing, all advancement of human civilization is like decoration on a dead body. It is said here that a dead civilization and its activities are something like clarified butter on ashes. The accumulation of money by a magic wand and the sowing of seeds in a barren land means all of them have no value. So this is what Arjun was lamenting, that I have the same weapons, I'm the same person, I have the same bodily strength, but without Krishna being there it's of no use. I couldn't even protect these queens from some simple cowherd men who attacked me. So without Krishna's mercy, without Krishna's approval of his um, of the capabilities, of the strength and power in us, we cannot do anything. In fact, when we read Bhagavad Gita, we'll find out that Krishna says, I am the power of digestion in anybody's body. I am the strength of the strong. Means without him being there, we won't even have strength to even move one little finger of our body. We can't do anything. We cannot even digest the food that we eat. Forget about anything else. So this is all Krishna's mercy. That even though we work against him, we talk against him, we teach people not to believe in God, or whoever does that, Krishna still maintains them, he still protects them, he still provides for them. Of course, more so for his devotees, he really takes care of them. Like he took care of Arjun here, he took care of Draupadi all the time, because Yudhishthira Maharaj, because they were all his devotees. So anyway, I've gone over time. I'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, my question is why God does so much for fulfilling or making true the benediction or curse of Brahmana, like Ashtavrak.
Oh, because Brahmins are very dear to him. And if somebody pleases them, they can give lots of benediction. Because somebody messes with them, they can give curse. But that was possible only prior to Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, these curses don't work. Otherwise, we would be cursing everybody.
But Prabhuji, I mean, I haven't heard any curse or benediction getting false. I mean, while Lord does so much to get those curse and benedictions get true.
You haven't heard of getting fall means?
Uh, I mean, if some brahmanas has given some benediction or curse and it got false in future, or I mean, it got reversed.
See, once they have given it, then they cannot take it back. They could change it, they could minimize it, but they cannot take it back altogether. So that is the deal. That's why Brahmins are supposed to be they're supposed to be well, too much of control of their senses. So they should not speak unnecessarily. Of course, in those days. Nowadays, we don't have that kind of potency. So, but afterwards, if the person who is cursed, if he again begs, if begs for forgiveness, then they could change a little here and there.
Thank you,
But
bro.
it is by Krishna's grace only, mercy only, the curse or benedictions, they get fulfilled. Otherwise, nobody has that power. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Any other question or comment?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Sir.
Prabhuji, I have a question that why Krishna could not help Abhimanyu to get out of the Chakravyu?
Krishna didn't want to.
And what was the reason that
Arjun,
he could be he could be alive for more and can live better
that
after?
see, everybody has a role to play in Krishna's pastimes, and Abhimanyu had only that much role.
Okay.
So what to do?
Okay.
Similarly, Bhima's son Ghatotkacha, he had one major role to play, and he played, and that was it. And then he was killed. 5 sons of Pandavas, they had a major role to play, but after the war, they were killed when they were sleeping.
Mm.
So
See.
everybody has a role. That's it.
And take care.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I guess we can stop
Prabhuji,
here.
just
Yes.
one more question.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, when we say, right, when Draupadi, in the, we call that Bhari Sabha mein, they were doing anachar. And why Bhishma? Because Bhishma, we know that he was very Gyani also. We call him because he knew, even Krishna said that he is one of the person whom anybody can know, like he gone through the dharmas and everything. Then why he didn't uh, you know uh, put any, like he stopped that thing what was happening in the sabha? Why he was quiet?
Well, uh, one thing was on the devotees, Krishna's Yog Maya was working, first of all. So Bhishma, Yudhishthir, they're all devotees of Krishna, but they were completely under Yog Maya. Secondly, Bhishma was thinking from another perspective, from another dharma point of view, because they're all religious people, moral people. So his dharma, he thought at that time, was to protect the person on the throne, Dhritarashtra, and to follow his orders. And Dhritarashtra, because as a king he was sitting, he didn't say anything. Bhishma didn't say anything. Of course, from another moral point of view, it was wrong, but from his point of view, he was right. So there are many codes of conduct, we can say. There is dharma, there is like regular morality, there is a devotional code of conduct, and now it depends at a particular time a person is following what code of conduct.
Yeah, it's actually shocking because even Dronacharya, Kripacharya was also there. They're the gurus and teachers. They couldn't see these things. They should have
They
come up.
no see now don't please. They all are very learned people. We cannot even estimate their knowledge. They were following a different code of conduct. That's it.
Okay.
They were following that we are servants of the king, and the king is there, the authority is there. So why we have to speak up? It's the king's duty. King is considered as representative of God. So he's a final authority in the kingdom. So from their viewpoint, they were right, but from another viewpoint of protecting a chastity of a woman, they were wrong.
Oh, okay.
So it just they chose to follow that code of conduct at that time.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Okay, you all have a wonderful
Hi,
day. Acha, yes, Mata.
Prabhuji, I have one small question. It is not a question; it is just some thoughts came into my mind. So, like as you said that they all were part of the leelas. I mean, by Abhin was not protected and all, so his part was over. That is why he got killed. So if we see these things as a small stories, then we don't get emotionally attached. But if we are only hearing the lectures, then we feel that, oh, it was like it was not right. Why did he kill? Some these thoughts start arising. But if we see these lectures as a small stories, then we don't get attached, and we our emotion doesn't get attached to these stories. So I don't know which one is right. I mean, how to think? Should we take it as a small stories, or the leelas of the Lord, or should we take it as I mean, when we hear these type of lectures, that we our emotion gets attached to the story. So I mean, which thought is correct? I just wanted to know that.
The only thought that is correct is Krishna will always protect his devotees. Krishna will always take the side of his devotees. And we better become devotees. That's all.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Acha, what I was about to say was Sunday is Radhashtami. I guess in India also Sunday is Radhashtami, right?
Prabhuji, it's on Monday, not Sunday.
Oh, actually here it's on Sunday. So Saturday night I would be going to Dallas, so won't be able to take the class for Sunday for you. So we'll meet on Monday morning then.
So tomorrow we will have class, right?
Yeah,
Not
Saturday. Yeah.
tomorrow we will have class. On Sunday we will not have class.
Yeah. So tomorrow I'm
Okay,
thinking
okay.
to have the class on Srimati Radharani.
Yes,
Sure,
Prabhuji.
sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
For
Thank you
Thank
Radhashtami.
you,
so much.
Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks a lot. You all have a wonderful
Thanks.
day. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.